Hello, welcome to another episode of Top3Tech. Today, I bring you Nvidia's best card. We have the MSI GeForce RTX 4090 Suprim Liquid X. Suprim? We know what it is. Anyways, I'm pretty excited. Last week, I tested AMD's 7900 XTX, and this week, I get to test the 4090. And this is my first time trying it out, so I'm pumped. It looks like it's going to go with my build, and I like the fact that it has the radiator on there. The liquid cooling is a nice feature. We'll see if it's worth it or not. But either way, let's go ahead and get to the unboxing and then the benchmarks. So I took the plastic off, and let me go ahead and slide this open. Oh, it opens from right here. There we go, guys. Suprim X. No, it just says Supreme. Put that to the side for now. Oh well, it comes with the mouse pad. Was not expecting that. That's super sweet. So far, I like that. That's dope. I love when these GPUs come with stuff. You're spending a lot of money on them, so why not? Jeez. There's the GPU itself. MSI graphics card, quick installation guide. Sorry guys, I'm trying to see what's inside here. We have this dongle for 4 PCIe 8s. Jeez, 24 pin total. Crazy. What else is in here? We got these screws, I'm assuming to connect the fans onto the radiator. We'll find out. But that makes sense to me. Is that it? Well, it looks like that's about it. So, well, the fans are already on there, so we'll find out what those screws are for. Oh, to screw the radiator on the case. Duh. I'm such a dummy. But let's go ahead and get a close-up on this card, you guys. We have a Torx 5.0 blower fan on this metal aluminum GPU that measures 280 millimeters in length with RGB on the side of the fan. We have Suprim and GeForce RTX printed on the metal backplate. The logo does light up. It's RGB, and then of course we got gold trim around this card. We have the GeForce RTX logo painted in white, the Suprim logo that lights up. We got the BIOS switch on top of that. To the right, we got the 12 VH PWR socket. We have 3 DisplayPort 1.4A slots. We have 1 HDMI 2.1 slot. And then we have the radiator, which is 274 millimeters in length, and it has 2 120 millimeter fans on top of that. So here we have the rest of the cards to compare it to. Here's that Gigabyte Gaming RX 7900 XTX, Sapphire Nitro X Plus Special Edition 6800 XT, Sapphire Pulse 6800, our 4090, EVGA for the Win 3 Ultra 3070 Ti, and then the Acer Predator Bifrost Intel Arc A770. As you can see, this is the longest card that they have. Plastic in the front, no RGB on the front right there. Plastic here, two-tone shroud. These fans are RGB. Sapphire Pulse, no RGB on it. It's got these little design on there. Plastic as well. This, all metal. Sheesh, let's go. It's got that fan there to help cool the VRMs. So not only does it have this 240 AIO, but it's got the fans for the VRM. And this card should fit in most cases, it looks like, and most cases should be able to fit a 240 radiator. So you actually save room, even though it does look pretty big. And then we got the EVGA 3070 Ti. We got the logos here. EVGA logos right there. Got this little shroud here, RGB bar there. Then the Acer Predator Bifrost has the Acer logo there. Sorry. It's got the Aero Blade 3D fan in the middle, and then this RGB fan here. So this is kind of similar to this, but this has that middle fan, and of course it doesn't have the AIO. But that's how it would look like if you vertically mount them. I like the classy look of the Suprim X. It's got this RGB light right here, I forgot to mention, guys. So it'll fit in your case, and it looks pretty nice. Here's the back plates. In most PC cases, this is how it will look like. The Gigabyte has this little design, small heat vent, 16-pin socket, BIOS switch, the indicator there, OC and quiet. On the 6800 XT, we got our RGB logo here. Oh, I forgot to mention, this has the RGB there as well, Radeon painted. RGB logo here, Sapphire Nitro, heat vent, 16-pin socket. Logo lights up right there, it says Sapphire. Not too bad. The Sapphire Pulse has that pulse mark, BIOS switch indicator. BIOS switch on there as well, 16-pin as well. And then of course, the 4090 Suprim X. Crazy, 4090 is smaller than these cards. And RGB there. Suprim, the BIOS switch indicator. It also has a BIOS switch, as noted earlier. And it's amazing how tiny this card is, especially when you compare it to these two. And then the 3070 Ti, got EVGA cut out there on the heat vent. GeForce RTX, BIOS indicator, 16-pin socket. It's got the light LED bar there, RGB. Then we have the Intel Arc A770, 16-pin socket. No BIOS switch on this card. Intel Arc there, Predator there. Lights up. We got the Predator logo here, Predator written out. Intel Arc A770, heat vent. So this card is the only one without the heat vent pretty much. And that's because it has this big old, here's its heat vent, I guess. So it doesn't really need that. And also another difference between this card and the other cards that you might have noticed was it doesn't have a radiator. If you can see, look, it's just all board. Look at this EVGA. Has that radiator. Like you can see it right here. So I thought that was a nice little difference. Something that you get with the water cooling. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in the PC, see how it looks like. So quick heads up to people that own the Lian Uni fans that want to use it with this. This has a 4-pin connector for each fan. It's pretty much connected to the radiator. The wires are in this hosing, and that's what's gonna power these fans. With the Uni fan, it has its own special plug. It won't fit the 4-pin. Most people with aftermarket fans, they'll have the 4-pin and the 3-pin for the ARGB, so you wouldn't really have to worry about it. But if you own the Lian Li fans, you won't be able to connect it to this. But that's okay. I wanted to use these anyway so we could see how they work stock with the GPU, just to see the temps. Well, we have her installed. Jeez. Look at those cables. Let's go ahead and check out the benchmarks now, you guys. Before we go any further, let me go ahead and introduce the Top3Tech PC specs. We have an Asus X570 Tough Gaming Plus Wi-Fi motherboard, a Ryzen 7 5800X CPU. We have 32GB Corsair Vengeance 3200MHz RAM, and of course today we'll be testing the MSI GeForce RTX 4090 Suprim Liquid X. It has a boost clock of 2640MHz, a game clock of 2625MHz. It is on 24GB GDDR6X memory. It's on the Lovelace architecture. They do say that you do need a minimum 850 watt PSU, but they recommend a 1000 watt PSU. And I would probably say get a 1000 watt PSU because this card does push a lot of power. The new gen cards have been pretty cool, and this one is no exception. It has the AIO liquid cooler on it, so it stayed pretty cool. And even on the ones that it reached the same temps as the other cards, it's still quiet. So it's colder and quiet. Let's go. So I kind of knew what to expect with this card. 4K 120 hertz. Amazing, right? What I didn't expect was that on a lot of games, this averaged 160 frames at 4K. And this is all at ultra settings. That's pretty impressive. Cyberpunk is the outlier, but still 4K 70 frames, 60 frames, that's not too bad. This game ran Halo at 170 frames, which is amazing. 4K Ultra Warzone, it ran at 110 frames per second. It was like 110 to 120, dropped down to 90, 98 every once in a while, so 110 is a good way to put it at. It did boost to 2,835 megahertz to achieve this, and I did hit a spike of 410 watts for power consumption, so make sure you have a big enough PSU. But all in all, I was impressed by this card. It ran great. It took advantage of my new 4K OLED monitor. It only plays at 120 hertz anyways, so this card is more than enough. At 2K, the 7900 XTX did beat it on most games. So if you want a 1440p card, maybe get the cheaper option and just go with the XTX. And if you want a little overhead, if you ever do upgrade to 4K, then that'd be an option. But hey, if you got the money and you want to get the best GPU, then just get the 4090. But you want to save some money and still get the best performance, you can go ahead and get the XTX. There's nothing wrong with that. I just did think it was a little weird at 1440p. This card did come in second place, but it seems like we are getting bottlenecked by the CPUs as well. So maybe if I had a better CPU, I would get different results. But it is what it is. People aren't really buying this for 1440p anyways, and if you are, well, it's a nice card either way. So we all know that Nvidia is the king when it comes to ray tracing, right? And this being their best card, obviously the ray tracing is impressive. Either way, it's still a big performance hit. In Tomb Raider, you get like 120 frames. In Cyberpunk, you get about 40 frames at 4K. I'm talking non-DLSS. And then at 1440p, you get like 60 frames, which is pretty crazy. That game's pretty demanding. And if this 4090 can barely hit those numbers, I still think ray tracing has a way to go. But on other games, for some reason, Far Cry, the 4090 performed terribly. I tested it multiple times. I tried my best. I reset the game, uninstalled it, reinstalled it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just this 4090 on my system with that Far Cry, but I couldn't even get it to run good. It did worse than like the 4070 Ti, I think. So it was pretty weird. But other than that, it's a great card for ray tracing, and obviously you're gonna get the best ray tracing you can get because it's a Nvidia card and it's the best card. So I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of super sampling. I'm a natural rasterization boy, but when it comes to DLSS 3 frame generation, it's pretty impressive. You get a big boost in frames since it generates fake frames. It's an interesting concept, and honestly, with quality setting, I didn't notice too much of a difference in quality or in the image quality. The edges were a little jagged, but it wasn't too bad. It looked like DLSS, if we're being honest. So, but the whole point of this card is it's supposed to be powerful without the need of all that, so I don't really find it necessary. But if you want to run 4K ray tracing, I could see that, but to me, it kind of defeats the purpose. But either way, DLSS 3 is pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to see how that's implemented in the future. Another thing that I really liked about this card was that since it is the liquid cooled one, it was cool. The temps were pretty low, but that's one thing I kind of didn't like about it. Since it has the extra radiator and the 240mm fans, you think it would be a lot cooler, but it was getting similar temps as the other next gen cards I tested, some lower, but this card is completely silent, which is pretty amazing. A lot of people always ask how much noise do the fans make when I'm reviewing these videos. To me, I really don't care how much noise the fans make because I usually have headphones or my speakers on anyways. But this card is completely silent. I turned it up full blast. I couldn't hear a thing, and I think that's pretty cool. And part of it being cool is the design. I really like this design of the card. It looks classy, it looks sleek, sophisticated. Those are words I would use to describe it. Everyone has a everyone's PC case should be able to fit a 240mm radiator in it. If not, that's kind of weird. And the card's not too long, so not only does it look great, it should fit most cases. So it's a great design by this MSI, and I think they knocked it out of the park with it. But the only thing I don't like is I can't use my uni fans with it. So maybe this card isn't for you if you're a uni fan user. So I've been talking great about this card, and you guys can see why. But I do want to talk about some of its drawbacks, and the main one is the cost. People buying the 4090, I know they don't care about the cost, or if they do care about the cost, they can afford it. But it is pricey, and these things will knock you back. I know 4090 start like at $1,600, $1,700, so that's a lot of money. That's more than a lot of people's builds, so that's a lot of money to spend on one card. But it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you on that. But since that's nothing we can really control, another thing that is pretty weird, when you're spending that much money on a card, you think that it would have the brand new DisplayPort 2.1. This doesn't. Luckily, my TV has the HDMI's, the new HDMI 2.1, so it was fine. I got to run it 4K, 120 hertz, no problem. But not everyone's monitor is going to have the 2.1 DisplayPort and the 2.1 HDMI. But those are things that are coming out, and you want to future-proof your stuff, especially when AMD has it. And that's something that their cards can gloat over this. So I just thought it was weird. You're spending all this money. You want to future-proof yourself a little bit. And another thing I really didn't like is the MSI Center. And that's the software for MSI. That's not really a knock on the 4090, but this card in particular. And since I review these cards individually, I hate MSI Center when you don't have an MSI motherboard or MSI system. It messes with your RGB software pretty bad. That's why I just left it white and I just tuned my PC around it. I was not going to download it and mess with it. Last time I couldn't change my RGB back for a while. I had to reset my computer and it eventually fixed itself. And another thing I'm not too fond of is the dongle having to connect 4 8 PCIe pins, wires, cables into the dongle. It makes a big mess. My cables were all clumped up together. But I mean, that's not too bad. It is what it is. And you are going to need a pretty big PSU. Like I said, I could hit a spike of 410 watts. And I was thinking of pushing this card to 500 watts, but this review is just straight out of the box use. If you guys do want to see a video of me testing it out at 500 watts, let me know in the comments below. But I tried to hit the most important points that I could. The benchmarks, the unboxing. This video is made so if you're trying to purchase this, you know what you're buying, and it can help you. It can help inform your decision to buy this or not, because it's a lot of money and a lot of people want to know what they're getting. But either way, it's a great card. If you can afford the 4090, buy it. If you're gonna mostly play at 1440p, maybe get an XTX. But either way, the people that are in the market for this card, they can afford it, or they've been saving up and they just want to get the best of the best. Either way, you can't go wrong. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I have been going at it on my channel for a while. I'm pretty burnt out. Next week is probably going to be a little easier, but I'm not going to take it too easy. Video will be coming out. Check out the Top 3 Tech episodes on Fridays, and I appreciate you guys sticking to the end. Peace! Thank you for watching another video from Top 3 Entertainment. I hope you hit like and subscribe. Also, I'm going to have a recommended playlist, a recommended video right here, so make sure to click that as well. I appreciate you guys tuning in, whether it be to the Top 3 Tech, Top 3 Gaming, or the Why Not Me podcast. You guys are dope. I hope to see you guys in the next video. And of course, let's grow this thing together. Peace. Peace. Peace.